Meloise Richardson. This, according to the Washington Times, a nice conservative newspaper here in Washington, D.C. Meloise Richardson is the poster girl for vote fraud, writes Robert Knight. The Ohio poll worker was sentenced last July to 5 years in prison after being convicted of voting twice in the 2012 election and voting 3 times in 2008, 2011, and 2012 in the name of her sister, who's been in a coma since 2003. We have voting fraud in the United States. Horace Cooper is on the line with us. He's an attorney with the National Center for Public Policy Research and the author, where to go here? Here we go. The author of Victims of Voter Fraud, Poor and Disenfranchised Are Most Likely to Have Their Votes Stolen, and the co-chairman of Project 21. Hey, Horace.
Hey, good to be on your show today.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I will stipulate that Meloise Richardson committed voter fraud. In fact, she's spending 5 years in prison for it, and that probably dozens or hundreds or maybe even thousands of other people have. Are we on the same page here?
Mostly. Okay, sure.
Okay. Will you stipulate that probably every day in America, now this is every 2 years when we have an election, but every day in America there's hundreds or thousands of people who shoplift?
Sure, yes.
Okay. So why don't we just start putting handcuffs on everybody as they walk into a store?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I like the analogy because we are seeing increasingly new and more draconian steps being taken to prevent the shoplifting problem. Way more stores now are videotaping you at every single place that you're at. They are putting tracking devices on the products that you buy,
right. And they're making theft-proof packages that nobody can open without a box cutter and a chainsaw.
Sell to people, since when you go to buy it, you often use some form of financial record that identifies you. They sell that information to you because they know you're the one who purchased it. Right. You've got actually less freedom when you go to the store now, thanks to all of the shoplifting fraud.
Well, it's not that you have less freedom. It's that you have fewer opportunities to commit fraud or to commit, in this case, theft, because you can't.
I mean, some people
I'm starting to make your argument for you.
Some people may not want to carry $3,000 to go shopping and buy what they want with it being kept private. Now, because of all of the fraud that takes place in the retail industry, almost every single activity is measured, and that's what I mean by you've got less freedom. Right. That's just a consequence of the abuses.
Okay, so I think my point still stands, though. You're more likely to die of a television falling on your head than you are to be convicted of voter fraud in the United States.
Oh, I think that's highly true. You're more likely to win the $100 lottery ticket if you play the lottery regularly than you are to get convicted of voter fraud.
Right. So why should a state like North Carolina, for example, why should they take a step, or Ohio, or Wisconsin is preparing to do this, why should they take steps that knock literally hundreds of thousands of legitimate voters off the rolls in order to prevent a few dozen or even a few hundred or even, in your wildest universe, a few thousand people from engaging in voter fraud, when there are other ways to do it that don't involve preventing all those other people from actually even walking into the store in the first place, to take us back to the shoplifting metaphor?
Yeah, except that that's actually not what's happening. The Brennan Center, Soros-funded group, hasn't been able to substantiate one instance of a lower voter participation rate in the states that have adopted voter ID levels. In fact, in North Carolina, in Texas, in Pennsylvania, in Indiana, in Georgia, all these places, they've actually had an increase in turnout. And the reason they have had that increase is because when you ask people why they don't vote, and we have one of the lowest vote participation rates in the modern world or organized world, is my vote won't count or I won't make a difference.
No, respectfully, that's a bit of a red herring. The my vote won't count or I won't make a difference. That comes along with negative advertising, and that's another thing we can discuss. But your point that voter participation has gone up is in those states that have voter ID laws is quite disingenuous. A, in most of these states, those laws have been restrained or they haven't gone into place or haven't gone into effect.
That's not true in Indiana.
B,
That's also
in the
not
few
true in
where they
Georgia.
have, population has gone up, so of course voter participation is going up.
But the Brennan
And
Center
C,
told us that there would be scores, hundreds of thousands of people left out.
and there
That
are.
should
I mean,
at
if you look at Florida, I mean, look,
Georgia has not had
in 2000,
year's time,
80,000 people got knocked off the voting roll in
Georgia
Florida
has
just
not
weeks before
had,
the election.
In a year's time between elections, 100,000 person growth to cover the fact that they had
And
an increase.
C, you had in the last election, in the last presidential election, which was the last election, you had an African American at the top of the ticket, which was bringing out a larger minority vote. I mean, guys are
No.
people are
The
saying
the Georgia numbers started in 2008. The increase in a great
right,
year,
which was
for
the year that
conservatives,
Obama ran for office, right?
A great year for conservatives was 2010, and you had
Because
a
President Obama was
significant-
not at the top of the ticket,
and you had a significant uptick among blacks in Georgia.
but nothing like 2008 and nothing like 2012. Come
Because
on.
you never have that kind of turnout in non-presidential years.
No, but if you want
But
to
what
if you want to break it
normally
out
don't
racially,
see-
you will see that's
what you see is the 2010 number, the 2006 number, the 2002 number. That 2010 number shows a significant spike.
Horace, you guys are so committed to making it harder for people to vote. Why not instead look at things like making voting more transparent? Let's go back to paper. Let's stop using machines that are from private corporations that are owned by Hugo Chavez. Let's go. If you want, videotape the polling place. Just like you do airport security, where if you think somebody's committed a fraud, you can go back and look at the picture of it. I mean, if you like the way it works at Macy's, why not do that at the polling place?
I do not want videotaping in the voting booth.
I'm not talking about in the voting booth. I'm talking about walking up and signing in.
If you want to talk about voter suppression, the government has no right to know whether or not I showed up and get to review that on a later date.
Oh, but they've
The only
always
thing
known
they
that,
need to
Horace.
know-
Haven't you
The
voted?
only thing they need to know is that it was actually me.
Horace, have you ever voted? When you vote, you have to sign in.
I just told you.
You don't want that to be?
I'm fine with them knowing that it was me. I am not
Okay.
fine with them being able to digitally assess at any point that's convenient for them my appearance, my presence, or any aspect about me. That's actually the wrong direction.
But you want them to be able to require you. You are such a fan of big government that you want that government to require you to go find your birth certificate, go get other proof that you are who you are and that you live where you are, and take that to a government office and get a government issued ID before you can go and vote. I don't get it. How can a conservative, small government loving guy like you be so in love with big government?
Flash that with get your Medicare support, get your Social Security.
We're not talking about
agreement.
Medicare or Social Security. We're
Those
talking
things require
about
an
voting.
ID. And if you don't have an ID, you have to get a birth certificate, and you have to produce those in order to get those benefits. And in fact,
We're talking about voting,
if a
Horace.
theoretical person wasn't able to produce their voter ID, they might not get to vote. What they won't be is denied actual treatment or their prescriptions like Social Security and HHS require today.
So again, you're not answering my question. You love big government so much you want it.
No, I dislike
Checking us at the
government
voting.
enough that I'm worrying about it killing people by making these requirements. But if
You're going to change the subject.
If the left hand is going to require something, then the far left hand needs to understand they can't go around criticizing it later.
Okay, I will leave you with the last word. Horace Cooper, attorney at the National Center for Public Policy Research, nationalcenter.org. Thank you, Horace. Good talk.